Hi, it's Delusion Dispeller. I'm here to tell you more about how to break your addiction to a person, that insidious addiction called people addiction. I'll be reading and sharing from this book, How to Break Your Addiction to a Person, copyright 1995 by Howard M. Halpern. Sorry, it's hard to get that Halpern and M all together there. Anyway, we're going to be talking about today the origins. Where did it all begin? How did it start? How do we choose these types of people over and over again sometimes that reject us, that hurt us, that control us, but we're so addicted to them that we don't want to let them go? How did we do that to begin with? So we all know about the attachment fetish thing. I've talked about that a little bit in brief. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So there is an object of your affection. Let's talk about who that might be. There are like several types of objects that can come into play here. First of all, for each person, qualities are different in what attracts us to a person. But if you have a problem with being attracted to the wrong type of person, you have an attachment fetish. That's what it's called. What are you looking at for an attachment fetish? Well, first of all, you're looking at how does the person look? What are their physical traits that you enjoy? What are the things that if you see them, you're just like, oh my gosh, I want to get to know that person. I want to hook up with that guy or that gal. What is that for you? Personality characteristics. Are they outgoing? Are they shy? Are they innocent seeming? Are they gregarious? Are they friendly? What is it? The personality that attracts you to people. We're going to be talking about 3 different personalities in some actual people that are mentioned in this book and how that formed into this attachment fetish and led to their ultimate problems or successes in those relationships. The third thing you're going to look at, we talked about physical personality, is how they treat you. That's another thing that attracts you to somebody. Maybe you are attracted to the strong type of person. Maybe you're attracted to the helpless type of person. I don't know. We'll get more into that. But there are people mentioned in this book who will be discussing about what attracted them to other people. Thing to know is the very traits that are attractive to you can also be the ones that cause the relationship so many problems and possibly doom it to end at some point. For instance, somebody said, he makes me laugh a lot. I love that. She's reliable. He acts like a little boy when he's with me. Self-centered, ungiving, cold, like really tough type of gal or guy. Those are some things that some people are attracted to. Other people like the fact that somebody accepts them the way they are. They give them space. They let them grow. They let them be their own person. It can lead to a bond so powerful to be attracted to any type of person and so addictive that even when the relationship becomes unhealthy and destructive, it's very difficult to break off the relationship and end it. But the reason for this, and that's what we're talking about today, is the root of the relationship to begin with. What is at play here? When you are stuck in a relationship or you feel stuck in a relationship and you don't know how to get out of it and you feel like you absolutely cannot break it off, what's happening is something possibly called transference origin. What happens in transference situations is you have a prototype of your caregiver, your parent, your father, your mother, whoever took care of you, and you feel this need to have them in your life because for whatever reason, your parent, your family member, your caregiver back then could not be there for you in the way that you needed, or maybe they were overly there for you in a way that you needed, and you just became attached to that attachment, and then maybe they passed away, or maybe you've moved on and grown up. Whatever reason, there's always somebody, if you have unhealthy relationships especially, who was that prototype for that caregiver that you found so fascinating and so much needed by yourself. Okay, so here's a story of a man whose mother was very cold and distant. She was very fashion-oriented, always dressed to the hilt, but she just really didn't give him the nurturing and the reassurance that he needed. She always dressed him up to look good and everything. And she always made sure that everybody admired him, but she didn't give him the hugs, the nurturing, the lullabies, the caring that he needed. So he found himself attracted to somebody opposite of his mother, someone warm and cuddly, maybe a little bit overweight, chubby, fleshy, warm, like his mother was not to him. And basically, turned out that this woman that he was attracted to was like his auntie, not his mother. So he was attaching to somebody that was totally opposite of his mother and gave him what was missing in that early nurturing type relationship. So sometimes we pick people that are opposites. Sometimes that results in a good relationship. Other times, not so much, depending on if we're attaching to them in a healthy way for healthy reasons or we're not. Sometimes people will choose the opposite, such as a certain religion in a person's life. Maybe they will be looking for somebody with the opposite belief. Maybe it's an atheist marrying a Christian or something like that, or a Jewish person marrying a non-Jewish person, or a black person marrying a white person. Not to say that everybody that's black that marries a white person has some kind of problem in their relationship, but often there is a definite deliberate reason for choosing people that are opposite of you. This is called anti-transference. So the first thing we talked about was how we attach to people with certain attributes that the parents or caregivers that we admired had. That was transference. Now we're talking about people who attract to the opposite of who they did not like in their caregiving relationships. There's a whole bunch of other stuff about Oedipal and whatever Freudian stuff, and you know how I feel about that. I'm not getting into all that. I don't understand it, and I'm not sure I agree with all of it. So we're going to skip over that part. Okay, the most compelling and self-destructive patterns are those of people that are attaching to others who are very, very bad for them, obviously. So let's talk about the first lady. She came back from a search. Hold on, my phone is talking to me. Oh my goodness. It was recording my voice and trying to search for some reason. Okay, so there's a person that was attracted to a brilliant type of man. And the problem was, as well as being intelligent, these men she was attracted to also were very demanding, controlling, domineering, narcissistic. And she would find herself falling over herself to please these people, these men. And they also, in spite of the fact that she was bending over backwards trying to please them, they treated her terribly. And they did not feel like they should treat her well, whether she treated them well or not. And after a while, she would tend to get out of these relationships and end them. Or the guy would be with somebody else, and she ended it because he was unfaithful. This happened over and over again. In Eve's case, this person we're talking about, her father was a brilliant biochemical professor, and she admired him and looked up to him and adored him. And he would play little games with her verbally, and she loved it, but she could never win. He never wanted her to win the games, and he would get very resentful if she was better than him. So she learned some messages from this type of thing. And these were the messages she learned. To be smart and be able to talk wittingly could make a certain person's eyes twinkle, a man, of course. And this was exciting to her, to help him in a way that put him up there as the superior person. Remember, her dad didn't like her winning the games that he played with her. So she would find a man that she always had to put up on the pedestal above her. She could be smart, but never smarter than him. And she better not get out of that helpmate role, because that would be problems for her, because her idea of being in a loving relationship was constantly serving somebody else. And if she fell out of any characteristics that we just talked about, that man would probably just go to somebody else and leave her. So as a result, she kept on attaching to these types of people. She had to serve narcissistic, domineering people who would never give back to her. Okay. Another self-destructive attachment fetish relationship was with Ben. He got involved with women who were ungiving and cold and carnal and just really narcissistic also. Why would he be drawn to somebody like this? Well, Ben's mother was very selfish and very distant from him. She was very unresponsive and dressed him up looking great and everything and made sure the house was just so, but again, lacked the nurturing of Ben. He was deprived of warmth and kindness and genuine concern, and this caused his attachment hunger to go without being met and fed. So Ben got hooked into the task of trying to make women that were like his mom give him what he needed. He was trying to look for, as they say in the book, milk from a beautiful but cold marble statue. Like a baby trying to nurse out of somebody that has no milk, basically. We try to look for people to meet our needs in ways that we need that they don't have to give us. They're not wired that way. They're not able to give that to us. Here's another example, Jean. I told you 3 examples. Jean was always drawn to, this might sound familiar, of somebody you all know and maybe love or maybe loathe. I don't know. She was drawn to men that were very passive, ineffectual, and were able to conceal that under this air of having it all together or being okay. And as a child, Jean had a father like this. So she was drawn to the same type of character in men. She idealized this man, her father, and the men that she dated, and kind of ignored the flaws and kind of put them on the side. Oh, you know, they'll get past it or whatever. But these men kept on disappointing her over and over and over again. And she realized eventually that she had created this illusion of this man, that she saw him as this guy that's just struggling, that he'll get it together eventually, when really she began to realize he was just pathetic and he wasn't going to do what he needed to do to help himself. And she would learn to get away from him. Ultimately, she felt like she wasted a lot of time in her life hooking up to these guys, though, that kind of put on this air of being okay, and yet deep down inside they had no motivation to do anything to change or improve. All right. These women, are attracted to men that kind of act like little boys in some ways. Maybe alcoholics, addicts, failures in their careers, not able to earn a living, keep a job, unable to step out and be assertive. And the only way they can assert themselves is by throwing childish temper tantrums or pouting. These were the types of person that Jean was drawn to until she realized she was repeating an attachment hunger situation in an attachment fetish with these types of guys who would never change. They just were what they were, and she wasn't going to fix them or change them. In the next video, because I was going to make this all one video, but honestly, no, you know what? I will. There's not that much left to talk about. So let's continue on real quick here. So what does it look like to hook up with a man-child? Well, first of all, it's denial. You deny that they have a weakness. You blind yourself to what's really going on. When you face your... what does it say? When your face or your rear end is sufficiently bruised from falling on one or the other every time you thought your man was strong enough to lean on for occasional emotional, moral, or practical support, it may gradually dawn on you that there's some pretty basic defect there. This would be a good time to reevaluate the whole relationship. But if you were hooked into a rescue and rehabilitation fantasy with your father, you'll swiftly and unthinkingly don the uniform of whatever rescue mission is called for. Nurse, social worker, vocational counselor, benevolent mother, policeman, and begin the soul-grinding process of lifting up, pumping up, propping up, shoring up, and giving up. And then after briefly resting up, return to lifting up, etc. And going right back through the whole caretaking, fixing process again. Yes, me. Exactly. In a nutshell. Y'all have seen it. You guys have called me on it. You have pointed it out to me. Here's the hook. Once you've married somebody that you feel like you have to fix, either A, they fix themselves at some point if they're capable of it, Or B, you feel stuck and trapped. And I felt stuck and trapped at times, but also I happen to marry somebody that really does care about his issues and is getting help, but that's rare. So don't do what I did. Don't follow my example as far as that kind of thing. Um, it's hard because I did have that relationship with my dad where he was broken in a sense, and my stepdad too. My mom married two broken men. And my idea was, in my mind, I guess, mom's staying with them, so there's something fixable here. So I think in all my life, I kept trying to fix every guy I was with, and women too. I have a fix history. I'm a fixer-upper. But the thing is, now people get mad because I don't want to do the whole life coaching thing on a regular basis because I learned that it's not my job and it's impossible to fix another person. I'm not going to try it. It's too draining and it's frustrating. So basically, why do people like me do this? Well, according to the book, it says we have low self-esteem. Maybe I do. I don't know. I think I feel pretty good about myself in the Lord, not in and of myself, but maybe there's a part of me that doesn't feel, worth more than to keep being a fixer at times. I have a persistent attraction to unavailable people or cruel people or depressed people. That's true. I get drawn to depressed men. However, I did throw away a few before I met my current husband. I threw away a borderline guy who was so attached to me that he drooled when I even got in his presence. And it just got really uncomfortable and leechy feeling. So I told him, bye. And he kept saying, even when I was breaking up with him, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure you want to leave me? Are you sure? And he's like in tears. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sorry. It's got to be this way. This is not healthy. So that was the end of that. You feel like if you can make the other person strong and loving, or that he or she will make you feel complete, adequate, secure, and happy. So you're finding your worth in another person, which is another way of saying that without this person, you feel that you are incomplete, inadequate, insecure, and unhappy. So you believe you can fix a person, and that's what attracts you and makes you keep on trying. There can be positive value in these type of attachments if they can lead you to a good and growing relationship, because they can create an interaction of a particular beauty and depth of commitment. That's if both people are willing to get their stuff together and try and make it work out. It doesn't work if one person's doing it. Trust me, I know this. Attachment fetishes become harmful when there is inevitable failure and defeat, kind of like being drawn to somebody's meanness or someone's unavailability, or when these qualities of the fetish have such magnetism to draw you in that they bind you and keep you stuck in a relationship that is very bad for you. So on the next type of video that we're going to do, we're going to be talking about self-delusion and addiction and why a lot of people get attached and don't even realize they're attached. We're going to talk about that in brief next time. It's not a very long chapter, so stay tuned for part 7 of how to break your addiction to a person, an insidious addiction. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.